Good morning, everybody. Come on in, take a seat. We're about to get started. All right, welcome to 1 Million Cups. Just by show of hands, how many are here for the first time today? All right, welcome. So 1 Million Cups is an educational program. We bring two local startup entrepreneurs to present to the crowd. As a community, we then hear their pitch, offer feedback, and try and help them grow. To start us off, we will have our expert panel ask some questions, and then we'll open it up to the audience. We'll go ahead and have our expert panel go ahead and introduce themselves. Grant, if you want to kick it off.
Morning. My name is Grant Gooding. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. I am a CEO of a company called Proof Positioning. We take the guesswork out of helping entrepreneurs differentiate themselves in their market and build powerful brands. My area of expertise here is in brand positioning and also in fair market valuations.
And I'm Leslie Scott. I am the 1 Million Cups unofficial dog lady, and I work at Think Big Co-working. I'm a community connector there, so come by and see me sometime and do a day of co-working. And I also do quite a little bit of work in the east side of town around tech equity, education, entrepreneurship.
All right, thank you very much. So I want to go ahead and introduce our organizers. I'm Lance, this is Courtney, Milton, and Brian. And if we all put our hands together, we'd like Toby to run up on stage. Toby. All right, so Toby's going to be joining the team. He's actually going to be replacing me as I phase out. So it's been a great experience getting to know each and every one of you. And you can clap because I'm leaving. That's usually when I get the most applause. So we're really excited to have him, and he's going to continue bringing 1 Million Cups to you in the same fashion and great quality that you've seen in the past. All right, so first up is Bob. He is going to tell us about his company, Vaux de la Ville.
Mic check. Hello. So it's actually pronounced Voix de la Ville. Can everyone try to say that? Voix de la Ville? If a real French person was here, or a French-speaking person was here, they'd give me about a 7 out of 10, and it took me 6 months to get to where I could say that correctly, or 7 out of 10. But Voix de la Ville is a local art project. It's a collaborative where we provide the public with art supplies. We have mobile studios, we give them a topic, and then they express themselves, regardless of their skill level in art, with regard to that topic. Then our artists, our experienced artists, take the art that they produce, compile it into a collaborative piece, and then we also have a video artist who takes that and interviews of all the people who have submitted art to the project and creates a further art form that we're hoping this year will turn into something that we can actually, monetize. So the combination of the two people involved is my wife up top, who would normally be speaking, but we just had a baby recently. She's the artist, and she has a background in architecture, and then I'm a local tech owner or business owner. This is my company. It's called Zion. We do wearables, mobile and enterprise apps, tech training, prototyping, usually for small companies or large companies that need some kind of an agile team of senior developers. So I wanted to be able to do some really cool stuff with my wife in art and learn art myself. We were inspired by a trip to Paris in 2013 and the West Bank of Israel in 2014, where we saw both extremes of the art world. Paris obviously being the upper end of the extreme of having lots of art history and culture. So again, my goal was just to hopefully do some really awesome stuff in the Middle East, do cool art with my wife, and maybe even help sort of the renewing areas of Kansas City, just beautifying them and giving people an art experience. So what is V2V? Well, I could say all that or show you this graph. Basically, again, we take art submitted by the public at whatever skill level. We provide the art supplies. Our experienced artists turn that into a collaborative piece, a professional piece, and then that's useful for traditional and corporate venues. But then we also have a videographer, which I also take part in because that's the art style I'm trying to learn, and turn that into video art projections on walls and in public places. Not like a short film or a movie you'd go to, but it's actually an art style that's done with videography. And then through that, we're hoping this year to turn that into something where we can actually sell marketing for that video art that's projected in the urban core. Our competitors would be other fine artists and non-traditional marketing companies, and our edge is that most emerging artists really don't have much in the way of help in terms of marketing who they are and their art. Some unique elements are the public contribution. It's a free venue and sort of has its built-in entertainment elements. And here's an example of some of the collaborative piece work that we've done. How do we make money? Well, we're doing traditional art, or fine art, so we have the opportunity to raise funds in those normal ways that you would do for traditional art or fine art. But then we're also wanting to add this B2C marketing component through the video art that I mentioned. Challenges for artists. How many of you have purchased a $1,000 fine art piece? Raise your hand if you have. That's actually way above average. $1,000 art piece would be on the low end of fine art, and the problem that results is that it takes tons of time for an artist to actually build a $1,000 art piece, and so as a result, they maybe get $2 to $5 per hour for their effort. And you know, there were only a small minority of you that had actually purchased a piece of art like that. So in the United States, and certainly renewal areas of our town, people don't have art appreciation. They certainly don't have the funds to support new artists. So there's a shortage of people that actually will invest in art, and sometimes they're very genre specific and very particular. What are we trying to do? We're trying to create new venues to close age gap and experience gap. We want to involve naive artists to help identify talent, but also motivate people for art. But still have a professional outcome by having professional artists compile what they've produced. And we're just trying to have fun as well, and eventually, you know, maybe create digital venues for selling fine art. So my conclusion in experiencing the Crossroads District, which we're very fortunate to have here in Kansas City, is that fine art is a gift that isn't available the world over. We have provided through V2V what we think is one of the many new and emerging promotional art forms for fine art. And you know, people are realizing that they need to use social media more for their art experience and for promoting their art. I just wanted to play for you one of the interviews of the kids who came to our booth.
My dream is probably for there to be world peace. So many wars take place and so much suffering for animals and humans. The most likely what will happen out of this will probably be that one day there will be such a great war that it will probably destroy the world. So what I am thinking is there is possibility that the human race has hope. And then it's just a blob of colors showing the endless possibility for what will happen ahead.
Okay, so that's sort of an interesting take on the world, and hopefully we can avert the Holocaust that she thinks is going to happen. But nonetheless, people are very expressive about their art, very interested in coming to our venue and being a part of it, partially because it's free and partially because there's, I believe, a shortage in our country of good art experiences. All right, so wanted to give thanks to these art venues in town that have helped us and ask if anyone has any questions.
Sure. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Let's open it up to the panel first.
I was hoping you would.
I have so many that I don't know where to start. I'm really excited about this idea because art is huge in our city, so you have already a foundation for kind of building on this idea. So I'm really fascinated about the partnership between you and your wife, between the art and the tech side of things. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, math, but with the arts in between to make STEAM. is really an up-and-coming thing, and I'm wondering if you have thought about how to leverage that trend to reach down into our young people and move your project forward.
So is the question, have I thought about how to motivate young people to do art in context of tech, or what's the question?
Yeah, how do you think tech and art could combine? Right now, it seems as if the two are connected, but almost working side by side instead of collaboratively. Can you think about how you might look at these STEAM education programs that are including arts in that, and how it might fit into what you're doing?
Right, so as a tech developer, mobile app developer, I am in many ways dependent on good art because the graphic design elements are so required now. There are a few businesses in town that are facilitating education for young people, even in the urban core, combining the two. One area that my wife and I are planning to go into is a co-working space surrounding art and tech, but that's sort of a loftier goal for us. The short answer is, at this point, I just want to see people do more art and enjoy it. And if they show potential in that area, I would certainly be willing to teach them something about tech. I've donated time to education in tech. But the challenge of getting people's attention for long periods of time is something I haven't figured out for producing and combining art and tech for young people in the urban core. But if you have ideas, I'd love to talk to you.
So my other question is, I work in the Crossroads, and I'm really excited as well about what's happening there and also how it's moving east. And so I was just at a fundraiser at the Blue Room on Sunday, and it seems like that's sort of an underutilized part of our historic areas of town, and you talked about the urban core. So I'm wondering if you've reached out to folks over there to try and bridge that gap.
Yes, and in fact, this year, the urban core selection area that we've been considering is east of town, sort of that extension of the Crossroads District, but still in a renewal area. So that's where we're going to be setting up booth this year and hopefully projecting the video art, which we think will beautify that area and give people some entertainment and some art experience in that renewal area. So basically just take 31 East, and we're going to be over towards I think it's like north of 39 and south of, I can't remember the exact street name, but Blue River Valley area is where we're going to try to target this year because it's still somewhat affiliated or fairly proximity to Crossroads, but at the same time more of a renewal area of our town. So.
What's up, Bob?
Hi, how's it going?
Can I call you Bob?
Please, what about Bob? All day long.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it a boy or a girl?
She is a girl named Shiloh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
You think it's kind of trendy?
She's here. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
So,
just say voix de la ville. When you're like stalling for time or thinking about what you want to say, just voix de la ville, voix de la ville, voix de la ville. If you can do it 10 times really fast, you're awesome.
What I got out of this is art good, more art.
Yes, that's if I accomplish that today, I've done awesome.
And unfortunately, functionally, I'm a little bit confused as to how that happened. Right?
How that happens, or what happens? The
art good, more art.
How the presentation became that?
Well, there's a technology element, which is your background.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. There's only 6 minutes, otherwise it'd explain more detail probably.
Right. It's just a little confusing as to exactly what's happening here.
Okay.
Right?
Totally.
So how are you going to make art good more art?
So I don't know if I said it, but voix de la ville means voice of the city. So the art good is that we're involving the public. It's a collaborative, okay? The art really good is that we have emerging artists that actually produce the outcome pieces. It's free, it's entertaining. Is it extremely innovative in terms of a collaborative art project? At least in that vein of it, not really, okay? I mean, we're doing a collaborative art piece. What's cool is that we would like to eventually move this into something that helps market the artists more and also maybe provide some B2C marketing with it, which actually could be a saleable component. But this is a for-profit benevolence project. So we understand that this isn't necessarily going to make $10 million in the first year. Does that help at all?
So this is a collaborative art piece.
It's a
Is it one thing? Is it like an event, like one event?
recurring collaborative art piece. So every year, we, like for example, last year, we went to as many First Fridays events as we could and set up our booth. Our booth was jammed with passersby who were creating the art. The public that was contributing that initial art submission product or building block. And then we just continued to come to every First Fridays event, change the topic. This would be like an outcome piece or where it's at currently. I'm not sure what else would be unclear about what I said.
Okay, so I get that. Okay, so that's
cool.
sort of like a community project.
Yes, it's an ongoing community project. The vertical or the growth areas that we can take it to multiple cities or regions. And eventually we'd like to take it to, say, like the Middle East.
So explain how, I understand the traditional methodologies, right,
Okay.
from a monetary perspective. Explain the atypical B2C marketing thing, because how is this thing going to make money? Otherwise, it's a fun project, right? And you can maybe get some groundswell of interest in things. But
Right. I think a couple of things that stand out to me is the building block and the general attention that we've gotten. People see it as a benevolence project, and so they feel less restrictive about being involved. So there's just a general public marketing element that occurs when people come, okay, that could also lend to selling other products or marketing things. But then the video art that I mentioned, that's that whole collaboration of art, will allow us to put small ads, very tasteful ads, that we would sell because we're going to be able to project this art piece at night times in high traffic areas. So I agree with you that in general, it's a nice project, but where, and because of the lack of development in art promotion in many ways, we feel like it's actually substantially a one-up on traditional art promotion because we actually have anything to sell, such as the marketing that I just mentioned. Does that make sense, or did I just sound like I, blew some hot air?
Hey, Grant, we're going to open it up to the audience first.
Okay.
So if you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll come around with a mic.
I got a question here to the left.
Good. Okay. Well, I actually have maybe a question and a thought. As looking at this, it may be a potential way to monetize and expand it out. I know a lot of, and moving out of the urban core, suburban schools do auctions to raise money, and a lot of them will feature art events or art projects by schools. Have you considered maybe working with schools to do a collaborative piece with the students and then sell that at the auction and maybe potentially even just split, do a 50-50 share with the school from the proceeds? That would promote the artist, it would promote you guys, it would give a lot more kids a chance to really build a nice collaborative piece to do that.
No, we haven't considered that, so I appreciate that suggestion. We're doing the elements of that in that we're collecting from the public, and then we're going to have a traditional art venue. But I hadn't considered that context, so thank you very much.
Question in the center.
Yes, I don't have to stand up, do I? Good. Anyway, I sort of, listening to the conversation between this gentleman over here on the panel and yourself, I sort of gather that the way this is supposed to work is that in many ways, as you said, it's not a particularly new idea at one level.
Right.
But the fact is that what it appears to be is that what you're doing is you're allowing people to involve themselves at whatever level they wish to, and if they have any interest in pursuing it, or maybe they didn't know that they wanted to, there's an outlet for it, and that over time you develop the
Following.
the following, and you develop the obvious pieces that are recognizable in various locations, and over time, that becomes the product. I hate to use the P word,
Right.
but anytime you do that, it turns everything into a,
Right. You could call this crowdsourced fine art if you wanted to come up with a cool way to say it.
okay. And so the idea is that where this is innovative is that it gives somebody ultimately a means to actually do art and actually maybe even in the long term not make oodles of money, but realize that it is a sustainable ability in the long term to support yourself with it. And at the same time, by helping them out, you also have these as means of advertising in a sort of a general way. It's part of a background in a venue and something
I
like.
think you're connecting with several elements of what we've been thinking.
Okay,
So-
I was just sort of curious, that's why okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, I think it's a great idea.
Thanks.
And I think so simply because I'm an engineer by profession, and I'm in it for some bizarre reason that I actually like engineering. And it's really nice to see the ability for something to be out there for people to sustain themselves with something they actually like doing.
Right. Exactly. And the social media opportunities abound, I suppose, although I don't want to overstate that.
We've got another question here to the far right.
Hi. I had a question around, the healing aspect of this, that children can express themselves through
Totally.
art. And with what happened in Fullerton and what we see happening in various parts of the United States, I would like this to be taken to the children in Fullerton because it would give us a visual picture of how they're adapting. They would probably have PTSD after this. And just that would be a very media-worthy thing because the media would be interested in that portrayal, self-portrayal of feelings about segregation or, being victimized, that type of thing. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Absolutely, and we're accepting donations after. No, I'm just kidding. We actually envision this for several areas where there may be hurting kids in the world. In the Middle East, one of the things we noticed was that there aren't a lot of ways for people to express themselves non-violently. Art isn't necessarily accepted in Middle East culture or religion. And so we feel like we would be bringing a new way for people to share their feelings, get inner healing, and learn a new skill. So, next.
Question in the center.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. So I understand the concept, and I think is pretty cool, and especially the aspect of the interactive experience. That's why I'm going to go ahead and call it with the video and then rolling in the advertisements to monetize off of that, right? So my question regarding that aspect, so you're curating all this artwork, and you're talking about helping out emerging artists and things like that. From a business perspective, how is V2V, because I can't say all that stuff.
That's all right.
How does that, the interactive piece goes back and help out those artists? Like, do they get a percentage of the ad sales, or do they have the opportunity to sell their work on your website? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, how does the organization help these emerging artists continue their career?
That's a great question. I think we're marketing for them at our event, and we'll be having shows where more people would probably come to an art show like this than a typical art show, maybe just due to ignorance of the art style. So they get that benefit in that we're creating some buzz, and then we invite other emerging artists to show their art with the collaborative pieces. So for example, my wife will be doing the same when we do our show, hopefully about mid-year. But we haven't created that online venue or marketing element that you talked about and would really like to. So, I mean, I'm a tech guy, so I mean, my initial thought with this is there's several online forum, venue, sales, venue of marketing or monetization that could go online. So I used too many buzzwords there. Sorry about that. Any other questions?
Over here on your left.
Yes.
Hey, congratulations. I've got a client that does something very similar to this with kindergarten kids. They're doing $6 million of EBITDA a year.
Okay, so there is a way to make money.
Okay, it's different, all right, but this is kind of a first or second cousin to it.
Okay.
I want to send you to the CEO of this company. Maybe you can brainstorm together.
Please, I would love that.
I think we're about ready for our final question, if you want to go there. What can we as a community do to help you?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, do more art. Art good, do art, as he said. Check out our mobile studios. Come by. We'll probably be in the Crossroads at our same location this year at 20th in Baltimore in front of the Lady Volkus. Come to our art show. If you want to find out about that, go to our website. We'll be posting information about that there. Like us, follow us, email us, hang out with us. If you're into art, please talk to me. Become a patron of arts. This is just a general pitch for that. And then ask yourself, what is your benevolence business that you would like to do for Kansas City? If it makes only $5,000 a year, but makes $100,000 worth of impact in the lives of people, then I consider it a profitable business in many ways. Okay, and then talk to us if you need some unique advertising or digital marketing and would like to brainstorm that, or if you have a corporate lobby where you'd like to see some of our art. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to mention a few announcements for this week and next. If you guys haven't grabbed an announcement sheet, please do so in the back. Startup Grind is next Thursday, April 9th, and they are having Ron LeMay. Great events if you haven't been to it. It's very intimate, conversation with someone. There's also the Village Square grand opening on April 15th. I know it's tax day, but it'll be a great day to come out and celebrate the Village Square grand opening. And then we have the Lean Labs demo days on April 16th. Great way to go and show support for those educational startups. Okay, so are you ready? I would like to welcome our second presenter for today. They are making their grand debut here at 1 Million Cups KC. I would like to welcome Alex Altamari, Rachel Qualls, and Matt Watson of E2KC.
Morning. I think we missed our cue. Gentlemen.
Hello. All right.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody.
Take up more of the stage, guys.
Okay. Well, we are so excited to be here. This has been over a year in the works for us. We've been keeping it under wraps, and we can't wait to tell you all about it. But first, I wanted to start off. I'm going to put a phrase up here in just a second. And if you agree, I'd like to hear you just clap. What do you think? Can I get an amen? Entrepreneurship is hard, and that's one of the problems that we set out to solve. Over the last 4 years, I've started 2 business incubators, and 100 startups have come through those 2 and given me equity just to try to make life as a startup a little bit easier.
So I'm Matt Watson. I'm the nerd of the group here. After I sold my last company, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, and when I decided to start Stackify, I figured out that was kind of a complicated adventure, wading through starting your own company all over again. And part of our goal and what we're going to talk about today is how do we make that simpler to do? How do we make being an entrepreneur an easier thing to do?
My name's Rachel Qualls. I'm a serial entrepreneur. The venture I'm running is actually my 7th, so I keep coming back for more pain. I've also been an investor. I've been an angel investor since 2007, and I've been an LP and GP of funds. So I've been on both sides of our very hard table of raising money and also investing, which is what I want to talk to you guys about today. So we've all actually been friends for years. We bonded over this very unique experience of starting companies and the pain involved in that. And 3 years ago, we found ourselves in this also very unique position of all of us starting, not our first venture, but multiple ventures. And we decided to plot some data points. We have meticulously organized the data of every process we designed as CEOs of these companies, of how we hired and every decision that we made, because we had a theory 3 years ago that entrepreneurship didn't have to be hard, that we could automate the entire process of starting a company, commercializing a product, and of course, making money and being successful. Some of us more so than others. But anyway, so let me talk to you about what's happening and where the pain point is. The pain point exists for the capital markets, people like me and the rest of us who are investing in these companies, because we aren't very efficient with the capital, all right? So we're spending lots of money in this learning curve that if we shortened it and made more efficient, capital would go further, and success would be a lot more easily predicted. So that's what we have set out to do, and that's the company that we're talking to you guys about today. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put that slide in. That was from when we were pitching to investors. Sorry.
Okay, well, as you saw in the last graph, there are several things that entrepreneurs turn to for solutions to try to make life more efficient and have less time, money, and energy go to waste. Those include products, services. People go to school and find mentors to try and help make this process a little easier. And all of those things themselves are incredibly inefficient. So here are the products and services. People pay other people to do things like legal or accounting for their startup. And products, people pay for certain products to try to fit in and help like offload some of the heavy lifting.
Yes, some of the tools like Salesforce.com or HubSpot or for their website, Basecamp, project management tools, like all these different kinds of tools that people have to pay for that can be pretty expensive when you're starting a company, and you can spend forever just trying to figure out how to use them if you've never used them before and configure them, all that stuff. It's just a lot of time, energy, and money wasted.
Yeah, and according to our data that we found, 76% of your time that you spend using a service is wasted, or in money, and products 81%, and that's on the good end. Then we get over to education, where nearly all of your time and money goes to waste when it comes to actually launching a business which is going to make money and grow and scale. And a remarkably large part of that is the self-taught. So most of what actually ends up helping you grow a business is the stuff you have to learn in the school of hard knocks, if you will, on your own.
But I think the key to being a successful entrepreneur is a lot of us are just born that way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can go to school for it forever, but the most successful people, a lot of it's just in your blood, right?
True. And then over here, mentoring is actually the least efficient process in all the things that we studied here. It's clear that there are plenty of tools out there for startups, but when you look at entrepreneurship itself as the problem, you realize entrepreneurship needs a solution, not another tool.
So 3 years ago, after I retired and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next, I started doing a lot of research on potential business opportunities. I started doing some angel investing, all this stuff. I started Stackify, but I also wanted to do a lot of other things. And in the process, I built some of my own artificial intelligence to go out and do market research around potential market opportunities, scraping the internet for forums and social media and all these things for the best business ideas, problems that need to be solved, sentiment around a lot of different things. And actually used IBM Watson to help do some of it, and so I like to call it kind of Watson's Watson because it's a kind of a hybrid of our own stuff. And IBM Watson service, we do a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning, genetic mutating algorithms, just lots of different things. It's very fascinating, and I'm excited to tell you guys even more about how we're able to leverage this engine to solve these problems.
So here's how it works, is there's several components to what Matt has built and we've assembled. It starts with the market. So we have a big data engine which scans through a market and can actually identify voids in that market and gaps where something could fit or needs to fit. And then innovation. This was an interesting one because we looked at innovation, and all innovation that you see was something like, I read a number, 97% or something like that. 97% of innovation is actually repurposed old innovation. So let's put sleeves and a hood on a blanket and we'll call it a Snuggie, right? This goes through and breaks up innovation, and randomly, this was the mutating algorithm he invented, randomly matches features together for products and services, and then checks them for the market database to see, does that correspond with a market void? And is there a potential fit there? If there is, that's when it kicks off the rest of the process. So we go to name. This was something that was constantly frustrating in beta blocks, for example, is what should our business's name be? What we did, and in the early stages, this is kind of where this component was born, was we broke up the English language into syllables and then randomly recombined the syllables to make English sounding words that weren't actual words. And then we go check them, like, is the .com available, or is the Twitter handle available? One of the first things to actually come out of that
was Stackify.
Was
yeah, that was one
Stackify.
of them, so.
Stackify.
So we've all used our own engine to create our companies today.
We have. If once we get a name, it goes over to the legal thing where we can integrate with legal APIs and search through databases. So based on where we've pulled the features for the innovations from, and based on the gaps in the target markets, we can look at the legal precedents there and actually establish the foundation for a legal structure, LLC, operating agreement, subscription agreement, and even we
Trademarks,
can
patents.
trademarks. Yeah, exactly. It can't get around the filing fees yet, but we can automate the process of the legal formation of the entity. Finally, in this one, this is the one that I think we're most proud of, is the whole sales, marketing, branding thing, because that's emotional. I mean, when we talk about branding, that's a very emotional experience, and it's all about creating emotion around a product. But that doesn't mean we weren't able to quantify it in some sort of way. We got a pretty awesome team. And we came up with what we call internally the hype index, which is it assigns a numerical value to given words, and then this is where the engine has scraped through Twitter and social media to identify what words trigger action or reaction. And then it gives them a numerical value based on their vector. I don't fully understand that part, but based on their vector analysis for their ability to create power. So we can actually map the force of YOLO or selfie as it rises and falls in popular media and begin to assemble a brand and marketing strategy, which corresponds to, again, the market gaps and where we piece together the innovation from. Do you want to talk a little about the team?
Yeah, so one of the most exciting things for me is the team part of this. You know, so many companies fail because of problems with the co-founders, or somebody has a great business idea, but they can't find the right developer or technical person or something to get it together, right? So what we're able to do is come up with some of the best and brightest product opportunities, and we've taken it one step further. I spent a lot of time scraping data from LinkedIn and Angels List and all these different sites, so we can actually identify who the best team is to carry out the ideas. So, if it's in a certain industry, certain type of product, I can actually go through and identify who we think are the top candidates that should carry out this business and have the highest chance of success, which is really fascinating, and we think will really make a big difference to make sure that these businesses actually work from start to finish and get executed.
So this is the entrepreneurship of our future, which is it's all automated and it becomes a seamless process for success. So we closed our own recent funding round. We kind of go big or go home. And so we got all of the biggest funding partners really in the country to buy into the concept that, well, we knew what we were doing, but also that we could automate this process for them. Because I remember I told you the largest source of pain is in your capital providers, right? The people who are investing in our inefficiency as entrepreneurs. So we offered them a pay-to-play option where they show up, they basically paid us in our funding round, and then they get exclusive opportunities to all the companies going through our engine, which means you never have to raise capital again, right? Because they have already guaranteed funding for every company we produce. And we match you with the right capital partner. So it's a complete soup to nuts from where we find the market opportunities, how we identify the right branding, how we structure an integrated sales and marketing campaign online, to forming the correct team to finding you the right capital partners. And that's it.
Yeah, I think the brilliant part of this is we've been able to leverage so much technology that we can stop guessing around what products to build. And now we start knowing what the opportunities are, and we can help guarantee some business success using some automation, time savings, cost savings, and all this stuff. We're very excited about the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. We'll have the expert panel go ahead and start us off with some questions.
So I was fascinated by the ability to automate a team, and I'm wondering about how that works. Do you use LinkedIn profiles as proxies for like personality types? So if you have a salesperson, that person's obviously an extrovert, those sorts of things. How does that work?
One of the companies that we own through my investment firm actually does it through psychometric testing. We licensed their software. So we match psychometric testing with top performance metrics. So just because, well, anyway, so that we have not only just the right people, but we have people who are going to be the top performers, whether it's in the technology, finance, or sales part of the company.
Second question is, there is education around entrepreneurship, so I'm wondering if you're engaging in the education space at the university level or even farther down, like Blue Valley CAPS or Northland CAPS, to help them understand that it's not as fuzzy, this entrepreneurship thing, as it seems.
Well, we haven't formally, I mean, this is the first time we've announced this publicly, largely because of the restrictions around the funding and things. It's an interesting avenue that we'd like to explore, and if you can offer introductions, we'd very much appreciate it.
But we're planning to eliminate the need for that. So you won't need, I mean, our system's doing everything you need to get started. We're picking you, the person, we're picking you, the market opportunity, we're matching it all together. So you won't need all of those support systems that exist today. That's the inefficiency.
To build on that, I think the focus will shift in education, hopefully, from how do you get started and how do you problem solve, how do you brainstorm, how do you, like trying to teach innovation. I've always thought that kind of even sounded funny to say, how do you teach innovation? From that to a usable skill set, how do you grow and scale something? Because we can actually take a computer and create the innovation part. So now, how do we introduce the human part into it and grow, and the management skills?
We need a lot of
operations, especially
people.
valuable. We need a lot of operations people, and so I think perhaps the opportunity at an earlier level is engaging in education and teaching them collaborative skills and management skills, more so than trying to teach these like ideation processes or innovation processes.
So, this is what you've been working on.
Yes.
Like a year and a half ago, Alex told me he was working on something. We were having lunch, and I've filled him full of beers since then, trying to get it out of him. So, the comprehensiveness of this is hard to wrap your head around. Could you go back a handful of slides, Rachel, to the circles? Right there. The scary part is I see how you can do this, right? Because the tools do exist. It's just nothing is connecting them.
Amen.
I suppose you'd have to go into too much detail to explain this in a simple, like, 10-minute presentation, Matt, like as far as how the technology behind this works. But the talent on the stage has me very intimidated and honestly a little bit scared of what this is going to be able to do. Can you talk about, Rachel, maybe a little bit how you've been working with the investors that you're close to and their reaction to this, because it's kind of revolutionary?
It was the easiest funding round I've ever done in my life, to be honest. So telling people that we are going to automate this has actually been done in smaller scale with VC funds. So you have VC funds that are starting today applying mathematics to how they're sourcing deals and how they're funding them. The problem is funding them is one piece of the equation. They still have to be successful at the end of the day. And we still fall off really when it comes to the math of what ultimately creates success. So that's how we changed the landscape. And they couldn't get here fast enough to pay for the option to play in this space.
I mean, I don't even know what to say, guys, so.
Well, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions from the crowd. We have a lot. We'll start right up front here.
Yeah, ditto. So this is one you've been up to. Haven't seen you for a year and a half.
We work, like, legitimately.
Working? I feel the same way. And I'd like to talk afterwards. I have two paths of questions. One is, what's it look like the next 6 months here in Kansas City? Do you have a group of companies that you're going to be working with? And two, one of my theories is that companies who have traction don't necessarily need the funding right away. The longer they can wait to get the funding, the lower their valuation will be, the less risk there will be in the funding, and the better off everyone will be in the success of it. So, two big questions. Does E2KC address the stage of the organization? And are you looking for particular companies, or is this just a mass product?
So I guess why don't we talk about a couple of the example companies that we're launching through this program. So let's see, what was one of them? One of them was...
Yeah, so the first one was on highway toll booths, having a car wash lane and turning one of the lanes into a car wash. You're on the highway, your car is already dirty, and eventually the toll booth lanes are going to get long enough that you're going to say, I need a car wash. And we you know, when this thing spit this thing out, we were like, how does this not exist? And we were kind of blown away. And we were like, here's a kind of an easy win. It's like, you know, just teeing up a... and so when you're presented with that, the data on the market opportunity, the size, and then we can immediately go and say, I mean, you know exactly who to talk to for something like that. You see exactly how it's win-win for the state. It's going to help generate additional revenue for toll booths, which are annoying at best. And it might even subsidize the freeway system to the point where you don't have to pay tolls. Just offering a car wash could potentially subsidize everyone who opts out of the car wash, and so that it's free, and that the people who would opt into a car wash is enough to like replace the revenue that would have come from that. So that was one of the interesting ones.
Yeah, one of the other ones was in regards to the trash and waste disposal market. So there's a lot of waste in that market, ironically enough. You know, every day the trucks start empty and they go pick up trash and bring it back. And one of the things our system identified is, well, it'd make a lot more sense if the truck started full and delivered stuff along the way and then picked up trash and brought it back. So we're actually working with Deffenbaugh right now on a pilot around having their trucks do package delivery and then pick up trash and bring it back. So that's another exciting one.
It started with the market opportunity of there's waste in the trucks, and then actually matched it with the post services hemorrhaging cash, and was, again, win-win for those two.
A question in the middle here.
I think along with that, the stage of company, I mean, are you looking for companies or individuals or sans idea that are naked entrepreneurs, and you'll supply them with an idea? And then along with that, are you looking to, how do you account for passion to carry this forward? Because obviously that's a huge part of entrepreneurship.
Well, that's one of the great things about kind of the machine and algorithm that we built, right, is we're able to identify, okay, we need people for this project, and we can identify the best candidates and kind of follow them and dig into their social media and look to see if they have, you know, potential personality conflicts with the psychometrics, and make sure they, you know, have the entrepreneurial spirit as well, and the passion. And
you can actually identify that.
Yeah, and you know, we interview various people. We don't just, you know, hone in on one person and say they're the person. You know, this is a matching dating system, right? But you know, we try and rank who we think the best people are and sit down with them and try and get them on board with the opportunity. So,
yeah, we have not yet been able to calculate or predict capricious human behavior. So there's always the potential for people to mess things up. But we're just trying to eliminate that, at least in this early phase.
Okay, got a question in the center.
Thank you very much. I just have a request that you would sort of walk us through a typical scenario of how you envision an entrepreneur coming to you and in various stages, you know, from concept only, restaurant napkin drawings to all the way to the finished product ready to launch kind of thing. I'm particularly interested in costs associated with coming to you guys.
See, you don't come to the engine, it picks you, okay? So that's what's sort of turning it on its head, all right? So the engine itself identifies the market opportunity. It picks you as the entrepreneur from what you have online, which, by the way, is extensive. We can figure out just about anything that we want to know about you online, and your ability to execute and perform. So again, we're switching it all on its head, which is you as an entrepreneur to identify that you're an entrepreneur and find your market opportunity and find your financing and create all these inefficiencies and try to figure it out. And we just turned it all on its head because the computer picks you the market opportunity and designs the entire business for you.
You got a question here in the middle?
All right. Wow. Well, I must say that my interest was immediately piqued when I saw your three names on this piece of paper right here. There's a lot of respect for these entrepreneurs. They're very, very savvy,
Very
and
sweet.
well established. Okay, so a couple questions. One is, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding in your case is the engine. So, as Grant alluded to a little bit, will you be creating the engine completely on your own, or will you be a connector of other tools and other resources out there to make the engine stronger? And the second question is, can you explain the name, E2KC? Where did that come from?
Entrepreneurship Squared. We actually, the engine's done. So we built the engine. It's an aggregation engine, but it is a proprietary natural learning machine intelligence.
And it's integrated to a lot of other services. You know, we integrate to things like LegalZoom and all kinds of different things to simplify this process, right? And there's a lot of kind of top secret stuff that's kind of built into it. So, you know, it's definitely a closed source proprietary thing. But we, you know, are working with IBM Watson and some other things to help drive some of this intelligence. And
Take one more question, then we have one other thing.
Have a question far our left.
Okay, so this is what you have been up to. First of all, I think you guys have a lot of clout, and that's impressive, and the presentation is very good. Thank you very much for that. But you said something that really moved my world. You said that entrepreneurs are born, is natural. So if I'm not born an entrepreneur, I'll never be successful?
I don't think that's true. You know, I think a lot of times people talk about they're kind of a born leader. And I think there's some of us that are kind of born entrepreneurs, or everything we look at all day long, we're looking to solve problems, and we're natural problem solvers. But I would think there are definitely others that come at it from a different background and a different path that are still successful, absolutely.
So last parting comment, I guess, is that, you know, when three relatively credible people stand up in front of you on stage and tell you that entrepreneurship can be made easy, that it can be made automated, did you guys believe us? Liars. So everybody knows what today is, right? It's April Fool's Day. This is never easy. It doesn't matter how many companies we start. It doesn't matter how much money we have or what our VC contact list looks like or how good we are at selling. It never gets any easier, okay? Entrepreneurship, just like we started our talk with, is really, really hard. It doesn't matter who stands up in front of you and tells you they can solve your problems and make it easy for you. It's never going to be easy. So that's all we wanted to do today, was show up and have a little fun with you guys and say, look, if you want to hear this story. So, we hope you enjoyed it, and that maybe when you leave today, you'll think a little bit about the fact that it doesn't matter, you know, again, what we've done in our past. The ventures that we all started 3 years ago were just as hard as the first. The unfortunate thing is that maybe we didn't make the same mistakes, but we made new ones, okay? So we're here to help and support you as people who've done it, but unfortunately, we're never going to be able to make it easier for you. So.
Yeah, and as a seasoned entrepreneur, you know, who's done this for several years now. I mean, I still wake up a couple times a week and go, what in the hell am I doing? Right? And I think we all have that.
Retire already, Watson.
We all have that.
Making the rest of us look bad.
You know, and it's hard. It's really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so
really hard. The one thing that makes this all easier is community. So thank you 1 Million Cups for doing what you do and bringing people together. Thank you everyone who helps and supports entrepreneurship in Kansas City. And thanks for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. So what you just witnessed was a surprise to most people that work here and are involved. We kept it pretty quiet ourselves for less than a year. Thank you so much for coming out. Next time 1 Million Cups lands on an April Fool's Day, I don't know what advice to give you. You know, enter at your own risk. So I want to thank Rachel and Matt and Alex for putting that together for us. I know they put a lot of time and energy into it. So I hope we did learn a bit of a lesson from them. So I think they'll be here to answer any other questions for you. So please hit them up. And we will be back next Wednesday at 9 a.m. at the same place, same time. So please join us. And thanks for coming out.